Have you ever noticed how your phone sometimes freezes and then suddenly fixes itself? You don't see the correction happening. No tiny engineer climbs inside to repair it, and yet somehow the system detects an error and restores order. Now here's a strange question. What if reality itself works the same way? What if the universe is not just existing, but processing? And what if you sitting here watching this are not merely a passenger inside the cosmos, but part of the mechanism that keeps it from falling apart? Let's begin somewhere ordinary. Imagine dropping a cup from your hand. It falls. Every time, predictably, faithfully. Gravity never seems confused. The atoms inside the cup behave with astonishing precision. Electrons orbit, forces balance, structures hold together. The world feels stable, but physics tells us something deeply unsettling. At the smallest scale, reality is not stable at all. Quantum particles do not sit quietly in definite places. They flicker between possibilities. They exist as probabilities rather than objects. The foundation of the universe resembles a restless ocean rather than solid ground. So why doesn't everything dissolve into chaos? Why does order survive inside a fundamentally uncertain universe? This question quietly haunted many physicists, including the mathematician and physicist Roger Penrose, who often suggested that reality may hide structures far deeper than our everyday intuition allows. To understand this, forget physics for a moment. Think about language. When you read a sentence with a typo, your brain automatically corrects it. Even if letters are missing, meaning survives. Information protects itself through patterns. Computers do something similar. Deep inside modern technology lies something called error correction. Signals traveling through noisy environments constantly degrade, so systems add hidden redundancy, extra structure, allowing mistakes to be detected and repaired. Without error correction, digital reality collapses. No internet, no images, no memory, just noise. Now consider something astonishing. Quantum physics faces the same problem. Quantum information is incredibly fragile. The slightest disturbance destroys it. If the universe truly runs on quantum rules, then information should constantly decay. And yet, galaxies form, chemistry works, life emerges, consciousness persists long enough to ask questions. It almost feels as though reality is protecting its own information. Physicists studying quantum computation discovered that stable quantum systems require elaborate error-correcting codes, hidden mathematical relationships spread across many parts of a system, so that damage in one place does not destroy the whole. And here is where the story becomes strange. Some modern theories suggest spacetime itself behaves like such a code, not metaphorically, literally. Imagine a hologram. Break a small piece off, and the entire image still exists, just blurrier. Information is distributed everywhere at once. In certain models of quantum gravity, space itself may emerge from networks of shared information, woven together so cleverly that errors cancel out before reality notices them. The universe, in this view, is less like a machine made of parts, and more like a computation maintaining coherence. But then a new question appears. If reality is constantly correcting errors, where does the correction come from? In computers, correction requires participation. Many components cooperate to stabilize information. What plays that role in the cosmos? Look again at life. Living systems resist disorder. Your body continuously repairs DNA damage. Your brain reconstructs memories from incomplete signals. Consciousness itself seems to stabilize meaning out of chaos. You wake each morning as the same person, despite trillions of molecular changes overnight. You are, in a sense, an ongoing correction process. Now imagine consciousness not as an accident inside the universe, but as part of the universe's strategy for maintaining structure. A bold idea begins to form. Perhaps observers are not separate from reality. Perhaps observation helps reality remain definite. Quantum experiments reveal something deeply mysterious. Possibilities become outcomes when interactions occur. The act of measurement doesn't merely reveal reality, it helps define it. So what if awareness participates in cosmic error correction? Not magically, not mystically, but informationally. Each observation anchors uncertainty into history. Each interaction stabilizes patterns. Every thinking mind becomes a node where probability settles into experience. You are not outside the universe looking in. You are one of the places where the universe decides what becomes real. And suddenly existence feels different. Stars burn not just as distant objects, but as computations unfolding across spacetime. Galaxies rotate like vast algorithms preserving structure against entropy. Even silence between atoms becomes active, a negotiation between order and randomness. The cosmos is not static, it is continuously resolving itself, and here is the quiet beauty Penrose often hinted at. Mathematics appears uncannily effective in describing reality, as if the universe prefers elegant solutions, as if truth itself follows deep logical harmony. Why should equations exist at all? Why should beauty guide physical law? Perhaps because computation favors consistency. Errors accumulate unless symmetry and structure constrain them. The universe may look mathematical because mathematics is what survives correction, but this raises a final, unsettling thought. If reality depends on distributed correction, then no single part contains the full truth. Not particles, not galaxies, not even minds. Only the whole system together sustains coherence, which means your thoughts, actions, and perceptions are tiny stabilizing ripples in a cosmic process billions of years old. You are not insignificant. You are subtle, like a single line of code inside an immense program, small alone, essential together. And maybe the deepest mystery is not whether the universe is a quantum computer, but why this computation produces experience at all. Why does the universe not merely calculate, but feel like something from the inside? Perhaps consciousness is the final layer of error correction, the universe checking itself by becoming aware of itself. So the next time you notice a small moment, light on a wall, a passing thought, the quiet awareness of being alive, consider this possibility. You may not just be living in the universe, you may be helping it remain real, and if that is true, what happens to reality in the moments when no one is looking? And maybe that question, what happens when no one is looking, is where the story truly begins rather than ends. Because when physicists first uncovered quantum mechanics, they expected confusion only at microscopic scales. Tiny particles behaving strangely seemed acceptable. After all, the everyday world still felt solid and dependable. But the deeper scientists looked, the stranger things became. Particles separated by enormous distances appeared mysteriously connected. Change one, and the other responded instantly, as though distance itself were irrelevant. Information seemed to exist not in one place, but across relationships. Imagine two dancers perfectly synchronized, even when placed on opposite sides of the universe, not communicating, not signaling, simply sharing a deeper unity. This phenomenon, known as quantum entanglement, suggests that reality is less like separate objects and more like a single woven fabric, and fabrics have patterns. If one thread breaks, surrounding threads redistribute tension. The cloth survives because structure is shared. Now return to the idea of error correction. In quantum computers, devices still in their infancy, engineers discovered something astonishing. The safest way to protect fragile quantum information is not to isolate it, but to spread it out. Information becomes resilient when it is encoded collectively. Damage one piece, and the whole still remembers. Some theoretical physicists began noticing something uncanny. The mathematics describing spacetime itself resembles these error-correcting codes. Space may not be fundamental. It may emerge from deeper informational relationships, the way an image emerges from pixels arranged correctly. In that sense, distance might not be a basic feature of reality, but a consequence of how information organizes itself. And suddenly the universe feels less like a stage and more like a message being continuously reconstructed. Think about memory. Your childhood exists nowhere physically intact. The atoms that once formed those moments are gone. Yet the information persists inside neural patterns, reconstructed each time you remember. Reality may operate similarly. The present moment could be a constant rebuilding, a correction process, ensuring continuity, despite endless microscopic uncertainty. This would explain something profoundly puzzling. Why the laws of physics remain consistent across billions of years. Why doesn't reality drift? Why don't constants slowly unravel? Perhaps because the universe continually restabilizes itself, correcting deviations the way a musician retunes an instrument while playing. And where does life fit into this? Life is the most aggressive enemy of randomness we know. A living cell gathers disorder from its surroundings and transforms it into structure. DNA copies itself with astonishing accuracy, correcting mistakes faster than chaos can spread. Brains predict the future, reducing uncertainty before it arrives. Life does not merely exist within physics, it pushes against entropy locally, creating islands of meaning. You could almost say life is what happens when the universe learns to preserve information intentionally. And consciousness goes wonderingly one step further. You don't just process information, you understand it. You recognize patterns, detect inconsistencies, ask questions. When something feels wrong, your mind searches for correction. Curiosity itself behaves like an error detection signal, a feeling that reality is incomplete until understanding restores coherence. That restless urge to know may not be accidental. It may mirror the universe's own tendency toward consistency. Notice how science progresses. Each generation discovers anomalies, small cracks in understanding. Those cracks lead to deeper theories, broader frameworks, more unified descriptions. Human knowledge evolves almost like an error-correcting algorithm applied to reality itself. Mistakes are not failures. They are signals guiding correction. And perhaps this is why mathematics feels discovered rather than invented. Mathematicians often describe truths as if they already existed, waiting patiently to be uncovered, as though reality prefers certain structures because they are stable solutions, patterns capable of surviving cosmic noise. Penrose himself often wondered whether consciousness might involve processes beyond classical computation, something tied directly to the geometry of spacetime at quantum scales, not a machine running inside the brain, but the brain tapping into deeper physical processes, where computation and reality blur together. If that idea holds even a fragment of truth, then awareness is not merely observing the universe's computation, it is participating in it at the most fundamental level. And now the picture grows breathtaking. Stars forge heavy elements. Those elements become planets. On at least one planet, chemistry becomes biology. Biology becomes awareness. Awareness begins asking questions about the universe that created it. The computation produces a system capable of understanding the computation. A loop closes. The universe models itself through minds. You are a place where the cosmos reflects, and reflection stabilizes identity. When you recognize yourself in a mirror, countless neural processes agree on a consistent interpretation. Without that agreement, the image would dissolve into meaningless color and motion. Perhaps consciousness acts as a mirror for reality itself, reinforcing patterns by recognizing them, not forcing outcomes, but helping coherence persist. And yet humility is essential here. We do not know whether the universe truly computes. We do not know whether spacetime is an error-correcting code. These ideas remain speculative, beautiful attempts to glimpse deeper order behind familiar experience. But speculation has always guided discovery. Before gravity was understood, falling apples were mysteries. Before electromagnetism, lightning was divine anger. Before quantum theory, atoms were imagination. Today's philosophical wonder may become tomorrow's equation. So let us return to something simple. Right now, photons travel from your screen into your eyes. Electrical signals move through neurons. Patterns emerge as meaning. Out of physical processes arises understanding, a silent realization forming inside you. Nothing about that process feels mechanical from the inside. It feels like awareness. And maybe that feeling is the greatest clue of all. Because if the universe truly performs an immense quantum computation, then meaning itself might be one of its outputs, not an accident, but a feature. The cosmos does not only calculate positions and energies, it generates experiences. Which leaves us with one final thought to carry quietly after this video ends. If reality survives through shared correction, if existence depends on relationships rather than isolated things, then every observer, every thought, every act of understanding becomes part of the structure that keeps the universe coherent. So perhaps the deepest question is no longer, what is the universe made of, but something far more intimate. What role does awareness play in keeping reality from dissolving back into possibility? And as you sit there, aware of being aware, you might wonder, is the universe running a computation, or is it slowly waking up through you? If this idea sparked something in you, share your thoughts below. What do you think the universe is really computing? And if you want to keep exploring the hidden architecture of reality, subscribe and join me on the next journey into the unknown.